Hey there, welcome and thank you for downloading the Asana Starter Kit. So I wanted to give you a little bit more than just a PDF. I wanted to show you around Asana just a little bit so it would all make sense. Sometimes, even though you've got this PDF guide that's going to walk you through it, sometimes seeing a visual just helps a little bit more. So let's start with the organization of Asana. Now, you can have Asana for just you, and you can have it set up as an organization or as a workspace. So the difference is if you have a yourbusiness.com for your email, so if it's your name at yourbusiness.com, then you can set your Asana account up as an organization. If you don't, and you're using a Gmail account and you don't have a way to, or you don't have your domain yet, you can just set it up as your own individual account, and then it's going to be set up as workspaces. And I'll go through what the difference is in these. But having an organization, what I'm going to show you today is actually going to be how mine is set up, which is set up as an organization. I do like it better because I like setting things up as teams versus having a workspace that only allows me to set up projects. So we will talk a little bit about that. And then at the end of this video, I'm sure you'll have a better idea of which way you would like to go. The caveat about setting up as an organization is that if you have users that also have your at businessname.com email addresses, I believe that they have to be set as users, and that means that you have to get a user license for everybody who is on your team. However, on the organization setup plan, that I believe that you get a certain number of guest spots. So that is one thing to make sure you check into, because they are changing their plans on occasion. So I don't know what that looks like at the time of this video. So check the Asana plans and see how many guests you get and how many seats you would get if you paid for a paid account. But if you get a free account, see how many people you can add to your organization if you do set up as an organization. But you can add guests, so that guests are always free. They're usually included as I think you get like one or two with your paid subscription to Asana. And there's going to be a couple of things here I talk about that only come with the paid version, and the lowest paid version is really worth all of these features. So I do recommend that. But if you do need to use Asana free, there are definitely ways you can get around that. And you can share your boards with people and their emails. So that is your account setup. Now let's talk about the structure. So what we're in right now, this simple to-do list template, this is a project. Now under your teams or your workspace, your teams is going to be your hierarchy. In a workspace, projects are going to be your hierarchy. So over here on the left, you can see like this SMS clients, that is a team. When you have a workspace and when you're set up as a workspace in Asana, on the left, it's actually going to say workspace. And then underneath that, you're going to have projects that are listed out. This way you have your teams, and then your projects are listed under your teams like this. So these are all projects that are in my favorites. So that's what this list is up here, if you were wondering. So if you have teams, this is a great way to set up if you've got teams that work in different departments, or they work on different projects and they all work together, or this group of people work on this client and this group of people work on this client. I like to set up my teams. If I'm managing client work, I like to set up my teams for like each client gets their own team. And under that team, I can create multiple projects. So I can create my monthly regular stuff that I do for that client, or I can set up a project if I'm working on a website project with that person, with that client, that is maybe temporary. But there's a lot of different ways you can set it up. If you've got teams, you can just name the team your client name, and everything under that goes with that client. Now, if you have a workspace, you can do the same thing. You just have to do a little bit differently. So each project, you're going to want to name it your client name or your business name. And then maybe you add a hyphen to it, and you'll see this in the PDF guide that you downloaded. So it'd be client name hyphen giveaway campaign, or client name hyphen monthly tasks. So if you're managing social media and email for a client, then maybe you have a monthly tasks for that client. Now, the other thing that you can do that I really like to do that I find is helpful for me and my team, we have this is called the simple to-do list, and each section in this to-do list is going to be a client. So instead of having 5 projects or 5 different teams for each client, if I have clients that I'm just managing monthly things for, I will just set up all my clients. And actually, this is how my clients are set up right now. I set up my sections in a project. I have my main project, and it's actually called SMS to-dos. I have client name and then the tasks that need to be done. So under here, it would be curate social content for the month of December, or, create the email campaign for the month of February, or set up a welcome sequence, whatever it might be. This is how it gets organized. And then the reason I like this setup is because I can see everything all in one board. Now, when things get more complicated and you have a client that you're working on multiple projects with, I highly recommend that client has its own team, and then you build the projects underneath it, or you build projects for that client that are separate, and each project would be client name hyphen whatever that project name is. So that makes it a lot easier so that you can kind of organize things the way your workflow goes. So you might have some clients that are more complex than the average client that you have, and maybe they have their own project as well. So things can be really flexible and agile in Asana, and that's what I love, is that there's so many different ways you can do things, and you just have to sort of play with it and figure out what works best for you. But I wanted to show you how I do it so you can kind of see, how things are structured. So when we talk about a project like this, I create the project and then I build out the sections. So if I had a project that was legitimately a project like a website redo, I might have different stages of my project. And so I would make different sections be different stages. Now, when we look at, a project, you have different views for this project. So this is your standard checklist, check it off, list view. There's a board view. So if you say you have a project, this is a great example, is I have a content plan. Let's do this. I have a content plan project. So this is sort of a template that we use, but you can see I've got different resources, I've got content ideas, and then we have different steps of the project. So the repurpose strategy, we're going to publish it, and now the VA is going to do this. Or maybe we have, let me see if I've got, this one might be a good one. So you can see pre-launch prep, warming up your audience, set up the launch, email sequences, and milestones. There's just a lot of different ways. And if you wanted to set this up as Kanban, you could do like to do, to be done, in progress, wrapping up, final, whatever those different sections are. Maybe all of your tasks are organized by where they are in the process of being done. There's so many different ways, but I like having these different views so that you can set it up the way that works for you. If you like the list view, or maybe you do like the board view, but your team member likes the list view, it will automatically do that for you. So let's talk about these sections and tasks so that you can set this up so that these different views do work for you. So your sections are like, this pre-launch prep is a section. Now, every section will be its own board. So you would have your section, and that's sort of like what the stage of the process is. Or maybe it's something different like, social media in your email and a blog post. So whatever you're organizing by, you want your sections to be broken down by like the main thing, and then under that main thing, you've got those different tasks that happen under that section. So your section is like the next level down from a project, and tasks are the next level down from the section. So you can have different ways that you can set these things up that work for you and your team. Now, I do think that every task should have the following things. You definitely want somebody to be assigned to each task. That way it comes up in their list of tasks. As you can see up here, you can filter by just your tasks. You can filter by things that are due this week or next week. You can filter by your incomplete tasks and completed tasks. And you can sort by, start or due date or the assignee. So these things only work if you fill in those sections. So let's click on this task here. Now your assignee, this is a template, so nobody's assigned to it, which means it's not going to come up in anybody's list. It actually, I think it will come up in the bottom of everybody's list because nobody's assigned to it. And there's no due date, which means it won't come up in my tasks list, which we will talk about in a moment. But you have to fill in these two things if you want to make sure that it gets done, it's assigned to somebody, and there's a deadline for it, and it actually comes up in your list. So if you assign it to you, but you don't give it a deadline or a due date, you're just going to get at the bottom of your list, and it's not going to tell you, hey, you've got this coming up. It won't warn you to show you that things are coming up and getting, needing to get done. The other thing that I love is color coding and tagging. So each of my projects is color coded. Now, if I've got my clients set up as a team, I like to color code my clients so that the team, all the projects under the team will have the same color. So I know if it's purple, it's client A, if it's pink, it's client B, vice versa. I just like to give it's those quick little indicators for you in your mind to go, oh, that's, you get used to what your color is, like the color for this client is that. So if I see this color, it's just already registering in my mind that it goes with client A. Your tags are another thing that can be color coded, which I really enjoy using, because now if I have this is what I like. If I have 5 different clients and I'm working on social media and email for all of them, and I do have them set up as teams, so their projects it's not all nice and together like it is in that to-do list I showed you where all my clients are in one place. But if I have a lot of projects going on and across 5 different clients and my responsibility is social media or email, now I can create tags for every task so if it's a task that has to be with social media, you can see all the tasks in this column here have this nice little green tag. And if I click on that, it will pull up every task that has that tag in it, that has the social media tag. So it'll help me even across other projects even. So this is a different project than this. So it'll pull all of the social media or all of the email tasks, and then I can see a complete list of all the things that need to be done. I'm going to go back here. Now to create a task, to create a tag, when you're in the task and it already has a tag, this column will be here. However, if it doesn't have a tag, that tag column or that tag section field, whatever you want to call it, is not there. So you're going to go up to the 3 dots, the more action, and you're going to click add tag. Now it'll come up and it'll show you all the tags that you have. So all you have to do is click one, or you can just start typing, create a tag for tag. So let's create a tag, and then you get to pick a color. So let's pick a purple color maybe for this one, or this blue. Now you've created a tag, and now when I go into other tags here, I can click plus, and well, the new tag should come up under here. I do not know why I didn't, but you can should be able to type in tag. See how it's filling in there. I think I'm having a little glitchy problem with this. So if you have this issue, this is kind of good for you to see. If you do have this issue, I would just reload the browser, and then there you go. Give it a second and it'll come up. So that is how you add a tag. If you want to color code your projects, you can open the project, click here, and you can just choose whatever color you want. It'll change it. to what you would like it to be. So those just help you deepen your organization in Asana, tagging and color coding things. When things are more visually bright and stimulating, it tends to be a little bit easier on our eyes. It helps our brains connect things a little bit faster as well. And let's show you also on the list view. And I think I need to go back to, yes, let's go back here. So I'm going to go back to my simple to-do list, and I have a status column here, which is not generally in, like that's an add-on that you would do. You would click this little plus here, add a field, and you would choose the status field. Now, when you're in the status field, you can click on your different statuses. Let's edit the options here. So you can add more statuses in each one of these. If you just click this little drop down, you can change the color of everything. So you can make it all colored the way that you want it to be. And you can add whatever, these are all manually added. I added in progress and waiting. If you need to add something different or you use different terms, you can set that all up. It's real easy to do. So you would just click add an option here, type it in, assign a color, and then you can save the changes. And I don't think it'll save that one because I did not actually give it a name. But if you had saved it, it will be under here. And then that's another place where you can see, you can organize by status and sort it by that as well. So up next is our tasks. So if you enter everything correctly in your tasks, you have an assignee, you have a due date, everything will come up real easy for you in this My Tasks. And I love this view because I love this My Tasks because it'll tell me what I need to do for today. Now, today actually comes up as due today. When you first create Asana, this is a default filter right here, and it will filter in everything that's due today for you. I believe a due later comes up as well, and that might be the next week, but I added a later this week. So when I like to have a filter for today, and then later this week is like, I think it's a filter for, it's a rule, I should say, for tasks that are due, I think 2, 3, and 4 days later. There's a whole bunch of different rules that you can create, but I created that one specifically. And if you just have these two sections here, everything else that isn't due today or next week is would just be listed down below for you with the due date. You can organize it. You can organize this list by due date, by projects, tags if you wanted to as well. But this is a great place to come find my daily top 3. I use this a lot, and I really do love the calendar view. So when you do have dates, you can see your weekly view, and then you can see your monthly view. I like this view a lot because I can see this is a task that has a start and end date. Like I need to be working on it this week. These are ones that have a specific one due date, and then you can kind of scroll through and see what's coming up later on in your workload. So I really like the calendar view and list view are the ones that I use the most, but maybe you have, a tendency to really like the board view. That's what I love about Asana is it gives everybody a different view that they want to see, and it really helps your team work efficiently and be able to work together in one software that is really flexible and agile for your team and you. So play around with all these things that we talked about today. Set up maybe one of your clients, or maybe even set up just your business and start with that. Start using it. Once you start using it, that's when you're going to see the potential that it has for you, the things you like and you don't like, and you're going to start really forming Asana to be something that works for you. Now, use the core features we talked about. Go check out some of their templates because they've got templates for a lot of different things. And you might have, I think they even have a template for meetings. So maybe you want to start implementing templates for your meetings and they're all in Asana. But there's a lot of different things over there. So it's interesting and you can see how you can use Asana. So Join the Business and Life Productivity Circle. That's where we share all of our free tips. It's a free group. It's a group of other people who are growing and working on their businesses and working with clients and just wanting to learn how to maximize the productivity in their life and their business. So I'd love to see you over there. And thanks again. I will talk to you soon.